All right, hello everyone. Eric Marks, FindingMiddleEarth.com, and tonight I'm going to do a quick little processing tip here that's going to help you add contrast to your images and give it kind of a fairy tale dreamy look. A lot of people, try to find the perfect preset that gives them that fairy tale look, and it's actually quite simple without using a preset at all. You can replicate it by just using a couple of tools in Photoshop. So before we get started, if you guys hop on over to my website at FindingMiddleEarth.com, there's a new little subscribe button at the top. If you click that, you can shoot your email in the box, and you can get access to my new 45-minute video. It's completely free on all things landscape photography gear. I go through all 3 of my bags full of kit. I talk about a lot of accessories that I use outside of the bag. And then I end it by talking about my favorite landscape photography lenses. So if you're interested in that, just check that out and you can get access to that for free. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on this. So this is an image I took a little while back at a beautiful creek that has this like really dreamy fairy tale kind of emerald water as it is. But this was a 30-second exposure, and I really wanted it to have a fairy tale look. When I was there, it was very much felt like a fairy tale scene. It was a forest out in the middle of the woods by this creek, and nobody was around, so it was really just kind of a special place to be. So let's go ahead and show you how I'm going to give this contrast and kind of a fairy tale look. First things first, and this is just me, so you'll have to excuse me. I noticed there's a big unfriendly dust spot right down here. So let's go ahead and get rid of that real quick before we do anything else. Let's get rid of that sucker. There we go. All right, so now that that's done, so you want to click on your layer, all right, your image layer, hit Command J or Control J on your computer to duplicate the layer, and then hit Shift Command A or Shift Control A on a PC, and that'll open up the Camera Raw plugin. And all we're going to do is overexpose the image by about 1.5 stops, all right, somewhere around there. So boom, that looks absolutely terrible, which is great. So we'll do that. All right, so now we have our original layer on the bottom and then a really overexposed layer. So we're overexposing because we're going to go to Filter, Blur, and Gaussian blur right there. Now this is a blur filter that's built into Photoshop. You don't have to buy this. It's not an external plugin. It's built in. So I'm going to blur mine about 30 pixels. It's all going to depend on the resolution of your camera. So if you have like a 100 megapixel camera or a 10 megapixel camera, basically the more megapixels you have, the more you'll have to blur by pixels, and the less megapixels you have, the less you'll have to blur. So for example, if you had a 10 megapixel camera, you might only have to blur like 15 pixels, something like that. But this was shot with a 24 megapixel camera, so I'm going to blur about 30 pixels. All right, we'll make it nice and blurry. I'm going to hit OK, and you're probably wondering what in the world I'm doing. So I've overexposed the image, and I have applied a blur, Gaussian blur layer to this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the blending mode from normal to multiply. Voila. Now look at that. That is super dreamy. It made everything, all the shadows really dark. It kind of crispened some things up. And then it made the highlights kind of dreamy and kind of made them glow a little bit. So I don't like it as it is, but I like a lot of it. I like a lot of the different parts. So how do we, get the best out of this? Well, let's create a layer mask. I'm going to hit B on my keyboard. I'm going to make my brush nice and big, nice and soft here. All right. And I'm just going to pick and choose which parts I want. So I'm going to make sure my flow is super low. I'm going to make sure my flow is 10%, and we'll take the opacity to like 60-ish, something like that. And I'm just going to, I have the pressure sensitivity turned on my Wacom tablet, so I'm just going to very slowly and lightly get rid of some of these shadow areas. See how I'm just getting rid of some of the shadows? So I'm going to leave some of the corners because it's kind of creating a natural vignette for me, which I like. But some of the shadows are way too dark, so I'm just lightening those up a little bit. I'm going to light up the corners a little bit, but not all the way. All right, we'll lighten up the stuff back here. But some of it's not very important, so we don't want to bring light to something that's not helping the image out. So we'll definitely help this corner out a little bit with some light. Definitely want to zoom in here, back here, and bring the detail back all in here. All right, that's good. Help that along a little bit up here. We will just lightly brush over the bottom corners because I don't want it to look like I had lens distortion going on or any kind of, what do you call it? The wide angle banding of the lenses there. Okay, what else I want to do? The middle of the rock formation looks kind of funky to me, so let's paint some of that out and get some of those rocks back in. All right, like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my brush really small, and I'm going to take my opacity to 100, which means I'm going to paint 100% of the blur out. I'm going to make it go away. And I'm just going to chisel out the line where the rocks meet the water. Why am I doing that? Because I really want to separate the line where the rocks meet the water for more kind of an eye pop, kind of a three-dimensional effect. So I'm just going to keep working on just the line where the rocks meet the water. And I'm going to hit X on my keyboard, which is going to go back to a white brush and paint it back in. I'm going to blur the tops of the rocks because those are overexposing just a little bit. So we'll paint some of the blur back in on the tops. We just want to stay away from the line itself. We'll hit X again to go back to black, which is going to paint it away. And we'll just keep working on that line. I think we're good. By the way, if you ever want to look at your mask, what you've done, you can hold the Alt key and click on the mask, and you can see what you've done. So see, you can see there's the line, the water line, and we've kind of splotched out some of these things. So we'll turn that back on. And then, other than that, you can do some, you can always add some other effects and stuff. We'll work on the corner a little bit more, bring that out a little more. We'll just kind of focus it. We're kind of dodging and burning with blur layer. So it's kind of a cool thing to do. It's really fun. It's addicting. I can sit here with this Wacom tablet and go at it for hours, which is why I'm creating a landscape photography post-processing course that's going to have over 10 hours of video on it, actually. All right, so we'll just stop there because this is just going to be a little quick tip for you. So we've added contrast and kind of a dreamy effect to this. So here's the before. That's what we started with, okay? Kind of bright and flat, and then we made that, all right? And then actually we made this. So we went from here to here, and then once we applied the mask, we did that. So we just kind of refined it. So that's without the mask. That's with all the blur turned on, and that's once we started masking. So no masking, and then masking with the brush. Boom. I like it. So yeah, it's a super simple trick. You don't have to be a master at Photoshop to do anything like this. I just want to kind of start simple so you guys get kind of the gist on how to do these fairy tale effects, because a lot of people email me and say, how do you get your photos to look like otherworldly? And a lot of the time I add this blur layer and then add the blending mode to multiply, and I kind of start there, and then I'll just add it to little parts because it really helps the light kind of glow and stand out, and it'll also kind of darken the shadows, and you can help that along by painting in and out some of the best places to add the shadow, and you can paint it out of the places where it's not supposed to be. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this little quick tip. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. If you would like to stay up to date on all of my photography videos and free tutorials, please consider subscribing by clicking on my face. And if you would like to find out more about me and how to improve your photography, visit my website at findingmiddleearth.com.